Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Frugal Father. I'm excited to have you all here and excited for today's video. Things that we're going to talk about in today's video are the biggest mistakes that people make when they are looking to plan and forecast their retirement. I think this is great that people start thinking about this at a younger age, especially when they first start out in the working world. Because if you set up your plan in place when you're younger, hopefully you've heard this before, but when you do set it up when you're younger, you have a smaller amount to pay each month or each quarter, however you have it set up, versus if you start it in your 50s or 40s. So we're going to go into all these things. Hopefully you all as well will like, share, subscribe, comment to the video about maybe some wisdom that you can share with other people or stumbling blocks that you hit and how you overcame those. All right, the first one is not planning for long-term care. When you're first starting out in your career, you're like, okay, I've heard I need to invest in a 401k or some type of retirement plan or a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA. And we kind of set it and forget about it, right? We're not sitting there in our 20s or 30s thinking like, oh, I'm going to wake up and be, 70 plus someday. And you're like, that's so far away. But in reality, those years tick away pretty quickly. And sometimes, again, we need to make sure that we are as prepared as we can be for whatever lies ahead of us in our life. So the first one is not planning for long-term care. What is long-term care? So 70% of Americans will need long-term care at some point in their retired lives. Think about it like a memory care facility, long-term hospital care, assisted living facilities, a nursing home, things like that. Those costs are very expensive. Those monthly costs right now are $4,000 for a retirement home and $5,100 for in-home care. Those are pretty large numbers, right? And we have to figure out what kind of plan can we get, how can we budget for this, how can we save for this, how can we invest in this to help us take care of long-term care needs. The next one is withdrawing money too early. It's hard, right? Everybody's got bills, everybody's got loans, everybody wants to, do the best they can for themselves or their kids or whoever. And or they may want to make an improvement in their house and they're like, oh, well, I'm just going to tap my 401k and get a loan from there because it's quick and easy and I can do it. I don't have to go through a bank or anything like that. That's hard, and we don't need to be doing that. That retirement account is for your old age. It is not for an emergency savings account. It is not to buy a home with. It is not. That's a separate bucket. So don't withdraw the money too early, because if you do, you can pay fines, fees, and penalties. And you also want to make sure that that money is growing and multiplying for you. Okay. The next thing we have is picking a plan when you're going out and doing your investments that doesn't match your personal risk tolerance, right? You're just going to sign up and it might be with a company and they're just going to invest your money into whatever fund. If you do have that option to pick, you need to know, well, what is your risk tolerance? So first, what is risk tolerance? Risk tolerance is if the market goes up, everyone's happy, right? Everyone's making money. But if it goes down, if it goes down really quickly, we get that churny feeling in our stomach, right? Like if you're on a roller coaster or on a big ski slope or a super fast slide or something like that, you get that feeling in your stomach, right? You don't like it. So make sure that you're taking a quiz to find out what your risk tolerance is so that you can make your investment decisions and choices based off of your risk tolerance. There's plenty of free ones out there online. You can just go ahead and Google them and take those quizzes and see if it really aligns. Stop and look at the results and see if it aligns with what you feel inside. And you may be surprised that you're like, oh, maybe I can take more risk than I thought I could. Or maybe I thought I was a risk taker with my investments. I could handle the ups and downs, but in reality, I really can't. So definitely take a look into doing that. The next is relying too much on Social Security benefits. Social Security is not going to cover everything. We already know we are currently in a high inflation environment. We go out to any store, we know we're paying way more money than we probably should be, right? But we can't just solely rely on one source of income when we retire. We have to build multiple sources of income, not only in retirement, but in our current everyday life. If you just have one source of income from one job, it's not going to cut it anymore. And I'm not saying I'm here to advocate for you to work until 12 or 15-hour days. What I'm saying is figure out what you can do to earn some extra income, even if it's just $5 a day, something to help you. Start small, then continue to grow. See what you can automate. There's so much out there with your phone, with technology, with different apps, computer software. Maybe you just want to work on weekends. Maybe you just want to put in 5 hours and doing some virtual assistant work or something like that. There's plenty of opportunities out there for you. You can walk dogs. You could probably plant people's flower gardens if you want to do that. So just think of other ways to generate those sources of income. And especially, please don't just rely on Social Security unless you absolutely have to. Checking your retirement counts daily. It is not a healthy habit. It's just not. They are going to change every day. They're going to go up. They're going to go down. Setting yourself on a different cycle, maybe quarterly or annually or biannually, is a much better way to look at it, because things aren't going to change so drastically. One day you may be up $50. The next day you may be down $100 and you're panicking, and then you're going to sell. And that's not what you should be doing. That's not what you should be doing with your retirement accounts or anything like that. Not doing the inflation math. There's always that factor. If you look at, calculators online, that 3% inflationary number, it's not always accurate. You don't know what is all behind the scenes. Like how do they get to 3%? Did they factor everything in? Are they excluding some things? Like a lot of our inflationary numbers that come out right now, they are excluding certain aspects of inflation in certain industries like energy or food or gas potentially. And they also are going back revising numbers. So kind of look at it and give it a more robust number than just the standard 3%. Let's say you finally hit a certain number that you want for retirement. Make sure you have a number for retirement. And I'm not saying age, I'm saying dollar figure. It may not cut it anymore. Let's turn back the clock to, let's just say, the 1980s. If you had $1 million probably in the 1980s, you were probably doing fine. You were probably living a great life. You didn't feel like you were stressed out about money. You could pay all your bills. You could go on a vacation. You could do all that stuff. $1 million now is not going to sustain you in your retirement life from, let's say, 70 and on. Okay? So really look at those numbers. Don't get stressed out about it. It's a goal to try to achieve it. If you don't, there's many ways you can adjust your lifestyle to still continue to live. Underspending during retirement, that's something that some people can do. There's always that 4% withdrawal rate that you hear, you read about, you see. It is still applicable today, but don't underspend on retirement, because you want to enjoy your retirement. If you want to save or leave a legacy for future generations, you can carve a portion of your retirement portfolio out and put it into a trust. And that way it can go on for future generations, and you can still continue to live out your retirement. You worked hard for that money. Use it. Don't try to do all this alone, okay? Make sure that you're talking to a financial planner. Make sure you're maybe talking to other family members if they need to be involved in your conversation, decisions, whatever the case may be. And make sure that you talk to lawyers as well. If you have to develop a trust or you have to develop a will or whatever the case may be, make sure you have your key players along with you on your journey, all right? And remember, always start out young, because the younger you start out, the easier it is on your glide path as you keep going on in life. So if I only need to start to get to my number and I only need to invest $200 a month or save $200 a month in my 20s versus maybe I have to save $800 if I start in my 40s, let's say, to get to my number, it's much harder to start with that higher amount than that is that lower amount, because hopefully over time you are getting raises, you are generating additional streams of income, maybe a spouse is coming to the picture or going back to work. All those factors can help along your journey. So again, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully that you got some tidbits of information out of this video, and I also hope that you're thinking about your future self and making sure that you are saving for them, and making sure that your future self is set up for success. So take care, guys. Again, looking forward to chatting with you in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.